All right. So thank you, Kimberly. Thank you for the Business of Design team for having me here. I love when I don't know what's happening before I get on stage, and the person who speaks totally sets me up like a boss to do exactly what I came to do. So thank you, Kimberly, for the brand race. That looked really fun. I came, obviously, to talk about branding, so it dovetails very nicely from what Kimberly just set up for you, but I want to do it in a very particular way. I actually want to talk about branding from something that we don't talk about in business and as bosses, and that's, I think, a beautiful part of the feminine in business, and that is feelings. So branding is all feelings. And when you think of a brand and you think of branding, I want to make a little bit of a distinction for that. The brand itself, is what Kimberly was mentioning as well, is how people feel about you. So that is everything from your haircut, to the way you speak, to the way you come off, to the way your website looks, and all of the different pieces of that puzzle. But branding is where you come in, and that's where you get to be the bosses that you are. That's when you get to craft with intention how you want to convey yourself and how you want to craft that feeling about you. So that's what we're talking about today. And we're doing so from a few different places, which I'll get to in a second. But talking about branding from the brand, the reception of how you make people feel, and you actually activating that with intention and with focus, trying to make it happen, is the essence of being your own boss. And it's the essence of my book. So I thought I would show you some of my brand bubbles. Because what makes up a brand is not just what you're putting out, but also what has happened in your life to this point. So this is everything from your work experience to your education, to your personal life, and yes, your personal life matters too, and ever more in a social media space where who we are actually matters. You know those jobs that I know I left, because you sort of felt like you were restricted, you couldn't fully express yourself, especially as creatives. You know what I'm talking about? It's like that corporate armor, that really polished way of business that sort of originated from a very sort of masculine-dominated business world. Now you're in a place where you can actually be you. I happen to be somebody who likes to throw some very light curse words in the middle of my talk sometimes to just emphasize the passion that this Eastern European has to offer, and that became part of my brand. So, while you're not supposed to curse, and that's not good professionalism, and you're supposed to be really rigid in the box, there's space now. There's space to be your own boss and to find your own way of doing that. So my brand bubbles include a lot of those things. They include colors, they include a rock star haircut, they include a lot of lattes, hence the Starbucks in my hand, although I prefer a press espresso if I can. And all of these things are things that I looked to when I was crafting with intention how I wanted the world to perceive me, how I wanted my clients to perceive me, what I wanted to communicate about who I was in a way that would actually stand out a little from the rest of the social media strategists and authors and speakers and people that show up on media. How could I create something, and this is my question to you as well, that has you stand out and has you be authentically who you are with freedom in a way that appeals to people? So that's really the essence of today. It's to talk about inspiring one another and me doing the best job that I can to inspire you to build brands with feeling, with purpose, and perhaps most importantly, unapologetically. And I think as Canadians, and I know there's a few Americans in the room, but we definitely over-apologize for everything. It's crazy. You walk down the street, you accidentally touch someone, oh my God, sorry for being alive, sorry for doing what I'm doing, sorry for not appealing to you, oh, so sorry that got late. It's wonderful, it's beautiful, it's gracious. But why are we sorry? Why are we sorry? And that's the inspiration behind the brand that I built and started building personally 4 years ago, and that has led me to amazing places. And I'm sure it sounds like Lori Steve also had some interesting experiences with that too, and I'm sure there's others of you here. So standing in that place and taking off that business hat. This is about learning what you don't learn in design school. So it's actually a lot more about feeling. So feelings do matter. And I promise this won't be a really sappy talk. It's really just a focus because we don't get to talk about it. And yet every single thing we do, why we're in business, why we're even building brands, why we're here at this conference, is about trying to feel a certain way. Whether you want to feel more abundant, whether you want to feel more clarity, whether you want to feel ease in your business, you want to feel connected to your peers, whatever it is, it's all driven by a feeling. But we walk around confusing ourselves because we put on this cloak and we say it's all about business, it's about the return on investment, it's about profit, it's about all those things, and that's really not what we're doing. That's not why we're in it. So feelings matter, and I want to demonstrate that today and talking about how you can build your brand from a place of feeling good, instead of feeling like you're trying to be something else or someone else, or follow the latest business blog on how you're supposed to brand your business. How can you find your own personal way of doing that? I want to do that by showing or talking about 2 examples of solopreneurs, creative entrepreneurs, just like us, like me and you, who you may or may not know, but I think they're great examples, and a Canadian one at that, who really rock branding like a boss and really get to that feeling that pulls you in your stomach and in your heart to want to buy their products or want to follow what they're doing, and we all want to be brands like that. We want to be magnetic. That's the purpose of being here today. So the thing about this emotional branding is that we talk about mission, vision, and purpose, but we don't actually spend the time to get to know that purpose. I think it's funny because even at networking functions, I'm sure we've all been in this scenario. It's like, what do you do? And almost like every time you get that question asked, as simple as you think the answer may be, we sort of stumble at what to tell this person or how to phrase it this time, or really what it is that they want to hear from us that we could say to have them want to keep talking to us. All of that stuff that goes on in our heads. So how can we come from a place of confidence, be unapologetic about it, and be clear on that purpose? That's why I think purpose matters. Purpose is what we'll go through today as we're thinking about these different people that I'm going to speak about, and as we go through some questions that I want each of you to ask yourself. There's about 6 of them that seem like really simple questions, but we don't actually spend time to sit down and answer them, and more importantly, answer them in a way that we can articulate to somebody else so that they understand exactly what we're talking about. It's all great when we feel good, we know, like, yeah, that feels right. That feels good, we're gonna do this. I feel like I should say that. I feel like we should go with this color. I feel like all of those types of things, but how can we convey that or start to package that in a way as we present ourselves so other people just get it and they want what we have? So let's think about some examples of people doing that successfully. Some bigger companies like Lululemon, which I'm sure most of you in the room know, great Canadian company. Media blunders recently aside, I think it's fascinating that they actually put their values and their mission on their bags. So you buy a bag from them, you go into the store, you have a full experience. You're not necessarily sure why you like this store, why you want to buy overpriced yoga pants, why these are the best pants to buy, and why the one at Walmart or Costco or anywhere else aren't any better. Sure, the fabric is great, but there's an experience happening. It's everything that Kimberly was talking about, from the stepping into the store to the way people greet you. It's the impression. And it's not just Lululemon that's doing that wonderfully. Apple is another great example. They only have 25% or so of the computer market, but you'd think that they've taken over the world. They're a niche company focused on very particular experiences. It's about thinking different. And if that aligns with you and what you support, then you tend to buy their products. They think different, they act different. They're one of the first stores that you go into and you can play with their stuff. That wasn't common until Apple came along. So these are all ways that people in the businesses thought, what do we stand for? What matters to us? In that case, it's thinking different. So how does that work with personal brands? Solopreneurs. Who knows Kevin O'Leary? Dragon's Den, yes. So you love him or you hate him, but Kevin O'Leary is a very clear brand. You know exactly where he stands. You don't have to question it. In a second or two, you could probably think of the key kind word that comes to mind, or maybe it is a kind word, about his personality, about what he stands for, about how he does business, and how he presents himself. Thinking about that, what are some keywords, and this isn't a question to answer out loud, but just to start mulling over, what are keywords or key ways that you know that your customers or people who know you in business would explain your brand? What are those types of things? And there's someone like Oprah Winfrey, journalist turned multimedia sensation, network owner, spiritual woman. I mean, this has evolved over time. You see how flexible it is when you just keep stepping into who you are and evolving different aspects of that over time. So, speaking of that, I want to bring a Canadian entrepreneur to your attention. I don't know if anyone's heard of her. Who knows Danielle Laporte? Yes, there's 2 people, 3, 4. Awesome. That's probably pretty average, although she's a megastar, and I love her work. This is a woman who I think as Canadians and a majority of women in this room should know about, because She's a creative professional who started her career in all kinds of places, much like I did, from think tanks to desk jobs and all types of things in between. A thinker, but she's really a creative and a spiritual person at heart. How do you turn a business out of something like that? Out of what you love doing and what you're passionate about, which I would assume is everybody at this, conference today. She's now a best-selling author, tens of thousands of followers on social media. The woman also drops F-bombs in inappropriate circumstances, and I love it. It makes me connect with her. I think, yeah, that's how we actually talk behind closed doors. Not that I'm suggesting a revolution in business with curse words everywhere, but it's connecting, right? We feel like human beings get to connect with each other, and it makes us want to support each other and grow. And she's been extremely successful. She's internationally known now. She's got three great books. The Firestarter Sessions, which is all about how to make ideas happen. The Desire Map, which is all about goals with soul. So not just checklist items of things you want to check off, but what's behind those? Why do you want those things? Getting connected to that. And this is her, tattooed, spiritual, black and white photo. She's obsessed with Helvetica font, so everything she does has Helvetica everywhere over it. And people have come to know her for just being who she is. She makes a healthy, handsome, six-figure earning all the time through her different digital products, through her blogs, and she does that being her. You just know Danielle Laporte when you see her. You may not be able to explain why, but you love it. I've certainly bought everything she has. I've bought it for everyone else. I've got multiple copies of things that I don't need, but that's what compelling brands do. You just want to follow, you want to be part of it. So thinking about how you could build that, she's no different than you and me. Windsor, born and raised, lives in Vancouver, 44 years old, married, one child. No real difference. Much like what Kimberly was saying, if your social media following is more, is it because you're a better designer? Or is it because you found a more compelling way to communicate what it is you have and get that out to people? And I'm saying today that that's all about being clear in your purpose. So we'll talk about how to get clear on that in a little bit. There's also Simon Sinek. Anyone know Simon Sinek? Yes, love when this happens. Perfect, so I'll tell you about Simon Sinek. He had an amazing TED Talk, and what's great about him is he's one of those guys in business who's transcended the traditional business world and sort of this new age conversation about business. And he talks about being grounded in your purpose. Typically what we do is we go around talking to people about what we do, how we do it, but we don't ever really share why. Like, why are we even doing this? Why are we spending 7 days a week pretending it's 5 healthy business days, 9 to 5, doing what we love, making this business work? What's driving that? Besides, yes, paying for our bills and all of those very practical things. There's something deeper than that. And he says that organizations, leaders, and entrepreneurs that are super effective, that are really successful, they're grounded in their purpose, and that's what inspires people to them. So he talks about the golden circle, starting with why. Why do you wake up every day? Why are you in business? Why did you start the business you started? Then it's clear what you do and how you do it. Communicating with people, meeting them. Imagine this. Imagine today, you go on an unapologetic adventure with me, and when you introduce yourself to people, you say, "My name is Gloria, and I'm here to redefine the status quo in everything that I do." Or, "Hi, I'm Gloria, I do digital strategy." Do you see the difference? One is a lot more focused on what drives me. Like, I'm here, I'm talking to you, I can't wait to meet some of you at the break because I want to know how you're doing what you're doing and how I can contribute something to redefining the way you've been doing it so that you have more ease, more freedom. I'm really committed to purpose. So that's what I do. It's why I wrote a book. It's why I'm in business. It's why my husband and I have put our wedding video up on our business website. And hilarious, that personal touch, which I thought was just going to be funny, turned out to be the most valuable marketing tool that we have. So we've done brand reels and we've done really great marketing pitches, but just putting our 3-minute dance video from our wedding out has attracted more business than anything we've done. Media appearances, articles on Huffington Post, doesn't matter. That tells me something. That tells me that we keep forgetting that we're human and that we want to connect on that human level, and we want to know what drives each other. So Simon Sinek has a formula for that. You could grab his book, you could go on his website, start with why, helps you get there. But it also leads into the work that I did in my book and with what we do with our clients every day. Literally from foreign governments for whom we helped brand their fashion industry, through a documentary film and spread it worldwide through social media, or whether it's something as simple as a disability advocate, who is our local client here in Toronto, who we're helping her connect with why people should care about being differently abled and connect with her advocacy. It's all about sharing what's in your heart and your lav mic. So sharing that and finding ways to articulate that is what we're here to do. So this is my purpose. I mentioned it as an example of a purpose-driven statement. Something that you could put on your website, you could put on your social media, but it's more important that in everything you do, you stand in this purpose. You make choices about your brand, your colors, your logos, your fonts, all the minutiae, all the tactical things that are essence of the elements of your brand, and be clear on why you're doing what you're doing. I think everyone would agree that, Kimberly's passion for this conference, for the work she does, for sharing, for helping and building the industry is infectious. It's magnetic. It's not about the product she offers or the thing that you can buy from her. That comes after. That's a natural occurrence. That's the kind of thing that we're talking about. So for me, it's about redefining the status quo. So everything I do, it's a really simple decision. I can literally tell you who I won't work with as easily as I can who I will work with. There are certain sectors or certain types of clients who've come to us and said, we've got 6 figures plus to do a rebrand, to do a digital strategy, to do social media. Can you come into our company and can you do that? So there's more questions. And very quickly I can tell that this is just another bottom line item. They've got some money to spend. Sure, I could take it. But I'll spend the next 6 months working on this project completely uninspired, completely drained, and dealing with someone who doesn't believe in what I believe in anyway, so it's going to be just hitting heads. How many have had clients like that? Awesome. Okay, good. So everyone has. And how can we not just avoid that, but how can we actually actively attract and communicate to the people who do resonate with us? How can we find our ideal customers? Standing in clarity of your brand purpose, it happens naturally. People will come. I don't even know how I got at this. I don't even know how I got on the stage, really. I think I met Natasha somewhere who saw my brand, who then introduced it to Kimberly, but it just happens. And here I am in a room full of awesome people that I know we see eye to eye on, and I haven't even met you, based on the way you think and the way that we operate. So that's the power of brand purpose. So I don't want to answer these questions out loud necessarily right now. And I'm happy to share my free worksheets with you. They could be downloaded online at the break. Come chat with me about that. Or tweet at me, I forgot to do that, at Gloria Roheim, GLORIA ROHEIM. And we can go through these in more depth, but to just start mulling over how you get to that statement. How do you get to a statement that's clear? And by the way, it evolves over time because we evolve over time. But it's just getting clear because the theme won't change. Why you do what you do will remain a constant theme through your life if you look at everything that you've ever done coming to this point. So what inspired you to do what you're doing? Why did you leave that job, or why are you doing this as a side hustle, as I like to call it? Why? What inspired you to do that? What was the motivator? Why do you have to do what you're doing? You just can't imagine doing anything else. Another key one is, if you weren't doing what you're doing, really, I think of service and living your passion as your responsibility on the planet. So if you weren't there, giving the world what you have to offer, what would you be stealing away from the world? What would they be missing? And it's not just another designer or another stager or another business person. What is it about you that you offer people? What are the things that you hear back from clients? What kind of joy do you bring to their lives? What kind of value do you bring to their lives? What kind of results do you achieve? Really connect to those things, because that's where you want to focus. That's how you attract more of that to you. That's how you naturally get introduced. People know who to introduce you to. Here's another thing that starts to shift when you're clear on your purpose in business. You know when people call you with referrals, because most of us do referral business, right? And you get that referral that someone called and you're like, I do not want to work with that person. Like, what do I do? That my friend referred them. I feel kind of obligated. This is not a good fit. People will start referring you the exact type of people that you want to work with, because you'll be clear, they'll be clear, you'll be clear on what you're looking for, why you're doing what you're doing. I can't tell you, like, getting foreign contracts, I'm not even in the country, and people there are like, oh yeah. She does this she didn't send out an annual report this year, she sent out a music video with reels of projects she's worked on instead of a big long corporate document around my annual report. Nothing wrong with that document. But again, if everyone's sending that out, how could I be a little bit of a purple cow? How could I be a little different with my own flair and still convey the same information, but do it in a way that feels like my brand? You know, I'm under 30. Well, I'm 30 now. I guess I can't say that anymore. 30, short hair rockin', millennial, fast talking, focused on purpose. That's who I am. The person who's had 25 jobs by the time she was 25, worked in multiple countries, that's who I am. I can't bring anything else to it. What's your version of that? What's the thing that you've done? What are your life experiences? What's the style that you have that you can bring to that purpose and communicating that? Because it is more than numbers. The social media numbers, the following, which we'll talk about it towards the end, all that comes from being in the world with that kind of intention. So what makes you remarkable is really, at the end of the day, what we're getting at. And it doesn't have to be something big, it could be something subtle. But again, if we're in a room of 100 or say 75 to 80 women or men who are designers in the same industry, and there are multiple stagers, there's room for everybody. So how are you going to express yourself in a way that really is distinct for you? And I'm asking, and I'm perhaps just requesting that you go on an unapologetic journey about it, and you find a way to do it, and try it. That doesn't have you feeling like, I can't do that, it's supposed to look like this. And really stepping into that version of yourself. And you all know what those nuggets are. It's the thing that your family and friends love about you. It's that extra little something that you bring to your work. That's your brand. And why does that light you up? What's behind that? That's your purpose. So, when you're clear on your purpose, and when you go through those questions and you answer them, there's one more piece to this puzzle, and that is actually letting people know that you're here. So socializing it. I laugh all the time because I think I send about probably one email a week. We've got a database of nearing 10,000 now, people that have subscribed to our blogs or our work, and this is true for our clients too. We communicate on a weekly basis. We have direct conversations on social media. We're on blogs, we're on media, online and on TV. And I'll still run into somebody every single week without fail who will say, you're doing this social media thing? And I'm thinking to myself, like, do you have any idea how much love I put into crafting these mailers, to crafting these messages, to crafting these blog posts, and still you don't know what I'm doing? That isn't my fault anymore. That's the fact that everybody's communicating at everybody right now. There's noise everywhere. To simmer through it, I mean, think about how many emails we get a day. How many we delete, or skim and delete, and maybe just go, okay, that one's not getting responded to, or this one I'm going to take the extra care on. It's impossible for everyone to know exactly what everybody's up to. So, socializing is more important than ever. Taking the time to consistently and reliably update, share, and share again. Find a new way to say the same thing. You're going to feel like you've said it a billion times. You'll just be so tired, and you might even be exhausted thinking, okay, they know that already. Everyone's already heard that. But they haven't. They probably haven't. They heard something, but how can you say it enough that by the time you're going to meet clients or you're going to meet those referrals, they already get who you are, and everything flows with ease.